in heavenly spaces, in vibrant colors, and sometimes glowing in a way that feels very spiritual. You have icons over some of your figures, and I don't know, but what I do want to ask you is, there are in some of the figures of nude Black men a tone of homoerotic art, and I wonder, is it meant to be that way? Is it a subtle thing? Is it intentional? Or is it just maybe the way I'm viewing it because of, what I bring to the painting?
So I want people to bring their experience to the work, always. Even if they hate what they're seeing, it's their experience that has to be honored. So as an artist, I have to always keep that in mind. Not everybody's gonna like what I do. Some people will probably come see this show and be like, oh my God, what the hell is this? And why is he making these statements and whatnot? But I
will set them straight. Say that, don't worry.
But but art is supposed to make people react. That is, and I've always understood that pretty much from the jump. So I'm at peace with that, whether it's a positive reaction or negative reaction, it's a reaction. And that is what it is in terms of that. For me, is homoeroticism necessary in the work? That's a hard question to really answer because I'm the one making it. And my viewpoint is constantly, as a gay man, it's part of the conversation, but it's not the only conversation I'm having. So I hope that answers that question, because I can only see the work through my experience in life.
Well, as a curator, when you're guiding people through the work, of course, people will have strong reactions. People will not always love what you've put together as a curator, but I see my role as kind of the spirit guide to read into the work and to understand the work in a deep and authentic way, even though they may not agree with your vision, but to see what it is that is there for them, whether they like it or they don't like it. It's important to understand it. And with your work, I feel like every day when I come in, I feel like I'm entering a church. I feel like I'm entering a historic space. I feel it's a spiritual experience. I've had many emotional moments with this work, and I'm always questioning what is making me emotional right now when I look at the work. I see all of you in the work. I see all of you showing up in the work, and I think that's very difficult to do as an artist, because you kind of have to flay yourself open when you're showing up in your work so truthfully, so authentically. It's not easy to just kind of rip yourself open and have it show up on the canvas. And I wonder, how you deal with that vulnerability, how
be vulnerable with other people. I think that is something I had to learn, especially about a decade ago, to learn how to do it. And I did it slowly because my mentor, Linus Rosa-Molinar, who's featured in this painting with his partner, Christian, he was my mentor, and he really taught me how to be an artist. He was really my graduate studies. And I think all artists have a mentor. One of the first things I said to him when I met him was, you're like a strict Russian ballerina teacher with a stick that does this to the ballerina if they get a step wrong. He laughed, but he taught me how to draw all over again. He said to me, what you were taught in art school, you were taught a lot of bad habits, and you were not taught how to see. And I was like, what? But through the years, it was a slow process, but some of our core conversations began to make a lot more sense later on. So one of the big lessons I had to learn was to stop thinking. And that's a very hard lesson for us as human beings to do. We're constantly thinking, we're constantly wondering and worrying about things and whatnot. And I still to this day, struggle with that. But to not think about something allows for the answers to come to you much faster. So for me with the work, he always said, be honest, be honest, be honest, be honest in what you're saying, be honest.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Share who you are, and I did that, but I did it in a mythological, Rococo type of way, I guess. And I love the past. I love looking at art from the past, from different parts of the world. There was something, I think they were already seeing the future and what we're doing now then. So I know a question is, what part of, do you look at the future in terms of the work? And I'm like, no, I look at the past. I look at what was being made at that time, and that influences a lot of what goes into the work and the images and what ends up happening visually, I believe.
But there is a contemporary thread that runs through your work.
Yeah.
I know one piece, just in what you're saying, when I look at the nude, I feel that when I look at all of your nudes, I feel Gauguin showing up. And I have major issues with Gauguin's life, Gauguin's history, the appropriation that came, and then when I see your work, it makes me feel like, okay, Gauguin, it's all right, we got it now. We step back, Gauguin. It makes me feel so good because your nudes are, the colors show up in a way that illuminates from the inside. And that's so difficult to do. There are no flat areas in your nudes.
No.
The skin, you can feel light reflecting off of the skin. You feel a warmth in the skin feels alive. And that's so difficult to do. And I just would love to hear a little bit more about your thought process in painting skin tones, because it's difficult to do. And if you haven't ever painted, skin tones is something that every painter struggles with. They're really a challenge. And then I think we'll open up to questions.
Yes,
from the
I would
audience.
love to take your impressions and questions about the work. So with skin, I have to give credence to my 7th grade art teacher, Mr. Gaines. He really taught me about color and how to approach color. And he was very much influenced by Impressionists. And when I saw Claude Monet's Water Lilies, I saw them at the Museum of Fine Arts. They have some there. But when I saw the one here at the MoMA, the one that covers the entire room, I had to just sit down and just, take it in. There's something about how we see color, and that's that's something that's so unique. So why not try to show that in skin? There's so many beautiful colors that are going on, no matter what the complexion is, the culture or race or whatnot. There are several colors all happening all at the same time. So for me at this point, doing that is like second nature. But it's just, I think it's a gift from the source to be able to see color. I feel bad for people that either are blind or they have issues seeing color, because there's something so beautiful about color. But I don't know, for me it's trying things, and after a while you just do it. It just happens. Yeah.
Well, I will, take everyone on a tour of the gallery works after our question and answer, but I know many of you might have questions for Ricardo, so let's open up. Sure, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Infobi from the Culture Variety video show.
And I'll repeat back the question for those of you that are watching live. I'll repeat it back just to make sure that you hear it.
Ricardo, can you take the mic and put it on the outside?
Oh, I'm sorry. No worries.
That was on me because I put it on you. But
This is okay? Okay.
yeah, a more pointed question, a more general. What have you learned about yourself from the beginning to where you are now in your work?
So what have you learned about yourself from the beginning until now in your work?
I think to learn how to be more vulnerable as a human being, that's one. To stop thinking so much, and stop worrying so much. You have to live. That's what I've learned. And in doing these, I get to learn those things even more. How to be that, how to be vulnerable, and how to stop thinking.
Yes.
I noticed the Liberty Bell in a lot of your paintings, and I was wondering what that's.
Hey everyone, it's Shiloh Introvert here. Today we're talking about something important: cultural integration in games. Let's dive into the diverse representation and how it's evolving in the gaming world. From characters and storylines to entire game environments, we're finally seeing more cultures being celebrated. But is it enough? Well, that's what we're going to explore: how games are reflecting real-world diversity and what still needs to change. It's not just about checking boxes. Diverse representation in games means creating an authentic story with input from real communities. It's about making everyone feel seen and included. So join me as I break down the highs and the lows of cultural integration in gaming. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch the full discussion. Let's make representation matter, one game at a time.
Jay, it's me. I spoke to Mom and Dad. We don't think you should have a gun right now. It's temporary. We love you.
Symbolizes for you, or what works you use?
So there's a question about the Liberty Bell and why does it shows up in a lot of works, and what's the meaning for that?
Freedom. Simple as that. And there's so many beautiful American symbols. Some of the, especially like patriotic songs, I cry just as much as other people cry when they hear them. The question is, does everyone feel exactly the same thing? And that's been my sort of struggle, for, a long time, trying to answer that question. And maybe that's a question I have in my work, I mean, for her, I wanted her to be Betsy Ross. And I was able to make her that. And I think in a lot of what I do, I sneak things that are national treasures, and I just put us, in as the protagonist, and see what happens.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Moses Ross, an artist. You mentioned that you learned that not to think, right? When you're working, which is sort of, as an artist, that when I'm working, I'm thinking of all kinds of things. So was that lead something sort of not to think, like a meditation, or separate from when you're working, or as you're working, that you're meditating, because that that is a process also as you're working, because your work has a lot of elements, the collage pieces and the figures and everything. So it seems that to me, when I see your work, it's like you're thinking a lot.
Yeah. It's like a practical joke intellectually, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say this. There is thought in doing this. I mean, I don't think you can just, not think while doing this. But the thinking part in terms of doing this is the initial, like, oh, I think this would be a great idea. But that's all I go on. I don't know what it's going to look like in the end. And that's the part that's the not thinking part. I think a lot of artists, some, not all, I think most don't think really. I think they have a general sense of what they wish to do, and then they know that it's not going to end up being what's in their head. But I've met some artists that literally, from start to finish, they have like this roadmap of how their experience with it is going to go, and that is just, I don't understand that. It's like you might as well just get a coloring book and, paint by number. That's what I think. But
I just want to follow up on that, because there's two ways of doing the work, as you said, like just sort of letting it develop and unfold as you work, and the other is what you just mentioned about having this idea already fully formulated, and then translating it to a finished product.
You know what I think about that. You don't allow the image to be what it's supposed to be, and if you're even if you speak to a graphic designer or an illustrator, any really good one will tell you it changes. The initial idea changes throughout the process. That's real. That's reality.
But it also takes trust on your part, because I think sometimes when that moment happens where you question what you planned out and then you see it's emerging as something different, you have to be able to trust when you reach that moment and say, well, this isn't how I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to trust and I'm going to go with it. And it takes a great deal of trust.
Yes.
So I see a lot of repetition in your work regarding the symbols. I'm not going to ask you to identify the repetition. Where are these symbols located in your process, in your studio? Are they in a large container? Do you spread them out? Or do you just reach blindly? And I know what you meant when you said you don't think, because I don't think you think when you place them. I think it's a feeling and an emotion. Because, so my question is, where are they physically in your studio? And I know they come near the end of the process. And so are they laid out? Are they in a large container? And how do you reach in?
They're everywhere. It's everywhere. It's World War III, 4, and 5 in the studio.
That was what I was hoping you could say.
Yeah. I mean, those that have come, there's a few people that has actually gotten to see my studio. I mean, it looks, it's insane in there. I don't know how I find anything in there. I just sort of intuitively, if I'm trying to find something that I know I have, but sometimes I have to take a few minutes to actually search for it. I do find it, but it just may take a while. And then some things are...
There I was, 16, divorced, remarried with a baby, another on the way, and I could barely read or write. It was time for me to change my life and the lives of my family. So I went back and I got my high school diploma. That was the catalyst I needed. Now I have a bachelor's, a master's, and I became a teacher.
Mom, this is your very first yearbook.
Your commitment to education motivates me, your coworkers, and your students.
You showed me that if you come from nothing, you can still be anything.
You told me I deserve to succeed. It's been 15 years and I still live by that.
You're the model for success for your kids, grandkids, and your students.
When I look at all these success stories, I cannot help but think it all started by getting my high school diploma.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
We all deserve a place to call home. That's an American dream.
Or like, if I know there's a few collage elements I'll need for painting, or some of the designs that I think will work, I will have them close to the canvas. I try to have a station for each of them, but it always shifts and changes as to, the work comes
I
along.
can say that in terms of the paper towels, it looks like Costco in his studio.
Pretty much.
If we ever have another pandemic where paper towels are,
you know where to go.
Hard to find. I know who I'm calling. I noticed, there's moments where I go through your work and I'm having these intense, experiences, but then there's moments like in this painting where there's a collaged shark coming out of the water and it says he's back. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of so many things, but it was humorous to me. It was like, okay, here's some whimsy, here's some wit. Do you sometimes with your symbols intend there to be some whimsy or some humor?
Yes, I do. But why that's there is because Leo and I spoke about reincarnation all the time. Uh-huh. And so when I saw this at my day job and I saw the shark and he's back, when I instantly thought of Jaws. And that was a movie he and I discussed quite a few times or whatnot. And I said to him, I was like, that movie terrified me as a kid. I was like, I never wanted to go to the beach because I did not want to be eaten by this, immense sea creature or whatnot. But so the reason for that being there was definitely because of conversations he and I had. But, I don't want to be this overtly serious artist that is, it has all of these, heavy burdens, all the time in the work. The work should have some levity in it. Mm-hmm. It should have some, moments where you laugh or giggle or, smile at it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I really love the name of the exhibition because when I look at your work, I really think about the kind of equity that you grant to iconography. And in this gallery alone, you have, Jesus Christ with James Baldwin, Breonna Taylor, but also I know there's models lovers, and maybe these people are just, their images were taken from the internet. And I wonder, I mean, from your own standpoint, what it means to give everyone the same treatment as becoming icons or brought into iconography, and also for some of the people who know they were making paintings of them, like what did it mean for them to be alongside all of these like very significant figures, to be brought into that same sphere?
Well, I don't know what artists have with their models, but my conversations are kind of a gradual one. I kind of warn them that their portrait is going to be out for a while in the world, being seen by quite a few people, and there are going to be some deep conversations about you. Are you okay sharing that of yourself? And oftentimes, initially, it's, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And then once they start to, I share more of the work in terms of other stuff I've done, then it could go either way. So some people are like, sure, I'm at peace with that, it's cool. And then others are more, they have questions or whatever personal concerns that they have. And then I try my best to explain as much as possible, as like, you will be honored. It is not a thing of I'm trying to make fun of you or put you out there to be dissected or anything. But I think most of them understand what I do already. So it usually is a yes. If it's a no, I understand why. You know, you have to get their trust, you know, and maybe it takes a while to get that for some people, you know, and that's okay, you know. But I think the same way these images are open for interpretation, you know, I allow the people that post for me to come with that same intention, I think, to be able to connect to the work in the way that they need to, for them to be comfortable. Yeah. No more oh, okay. I was about to say there has to be more questions.
Oh, that's 1,000 questions. So back to the symbols. This is my 4th time seeing the show, and the symbols come up with each visitor I bring. So once the symbols are put on, are we close to the finish line?
No.
No. Okay.
So this is, I know what you're asking.
I know you do.
Yeah. The way I know a piece is finished is when I can visually look throughout the entire image and my eye doesn't stop. That's how I know.
That's a very good description of your work in general.
Okay.
Because there's no end point. We all enter it differently, but there's no end point.
Right.
And I know another artist that used napkins, and I'm going to steal the napkins from you. I won't touch the paper towel, the napkins. Because as I look, I'm amazed by how you weave the napkins throughout your work. And so I'm just putting it out.